heading to Mesa Verde National Park to put our feet right where the Ancestral Puebloans put their feet, to walk where they walked and to see where they lived and farmed and raised their families. So come with us. So we are learning about America, and we're learning about the way America started long before it was ever America. The very first people who ever came over here came from Asia sometime after the Tower of Babel. We don't know exactly when after the Tower of Babel. It could have been shortly after. It could have been a long time after. We're not exactly sure when they came over, but we know that they came over, and we believe that they came over across Bering Strait. It's possible that there was a land bridge then that they came over, or they may have come over by boats. That brought them from Asia into Alaska, what is now Alaska, and they came down through Canada into the United States, or what is now the United States. And where a lot of them settled was in the Four Corners region. That's Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. And it's really exciting because you can imagine that you're living like them, and what a cool thing to do, to know what it was like. Of course, we'll never know truly what it was like, but to come over. These people didn't even have bowls and spoons. They didn't come over with a lot of stuff. They came over with the clothes on their back. They had to hunt for their food. They had to use the land. They had to use clay. They had to use wood. They had to use what was on the land to create everything. And it's so different than the way we live today. And it's really neat to take yourself back and imagine what it was like back then. So we are in Colorado, and we are going today to the Mesa Verde National Park, and we are going to explore those exact homes that they lived in. How awesome is it that we are right here, putting our feet exactly where the Ancestral Puebloans lived. They put their feet here, they walked here, they lived here. So we are going to explore a little more right now. Petroglyphs and pictographs make it clear to us that the Ancestral Puebloans were well connected to the night sky. Mesa Verde keeps that alive in their honor, as it has some of the most unobstructed, exceptionally dark, starlit night skies. So we are just getting out at the Far View sites. This was a farming community, a Mesa Top farming community where they would farm, and there are 5 villages here and a reservoir. When you arrive at the top of the mesa, the first thing you find is the Far View community. This community was active long before the cliff dwellings were ever constructed. While they began living in the area around AD 550 in pit houses that were small, partly underground houses that were made with mud over wooden frames, it wasn't until around AD 800 that Ancestral Puebloan people began living here at the Far View community, and this remained for generations. On a typical summer day in AD 1050, you would have found the smell of juniper in the air, seen people working throughout the community, heard children laughing and playing, and felt the wind moving across the mesa. Dogs may have been barking. This was a busy community. It is believed that by the mid-1100s, there were potentially 35 villages and farms right here. This building was the Far View House, which is thought to have been the center of the community. It had at least 40 rooms on the ground floor and 30 on the second story. Next to it was the Pipe Shrine House. When it was excavated in 1922, it earned its name because of, quote, a full dozen decorated tobacco pipes, unquote, that were found in one of the kivas. They also discovered small carved stone figures and pottery with the pipes. This led them to believe it was used as a religious shrine, thus giving it the name Pipe Shrine House. As you walk down the trail, you will discover the Coyote Village. One interesting tidbit about this village is that it went through stages of occupancy, followed by empty years, then re-inhabited. It is believed this occurred 3 times. Archaeologists believe the first buildings were constructed in Coyote Village around AD 975 to 1050, and then it was evacuated for unknown reasons. Construction resumed around AD 1100 to 1200, but it was left again, and the final phase occurred sometime between AD 1200 and 1250. Overall, it consisted of multiple kivas, a tower, and many rooms. Next, we make our way over to the Farview Reservoir. Although it appears to be a very simple set of rock walls, the lack of tools and equipment the Ancestral Pueblo people had in their day make this structure quite impressive. I mean, think about it. They had to use stone, wood, bone, and leather to make tools for digging, axes, knives, and small tools for more intricate work. They didn't have wheeled vehicles, so literally tons of stone, soil, and water had to be carried by hand. To align structures, they used local landmarks, cardinal directions, and even the night sky. So creating a round structure that was 90 feet in diameter was quite the feat. Scientists believe this was built in multiple phases beginning around AD 900 and was a community project used to hold water. Out from the reservoir was the megalithic house. This was believed to be the home of one extended family, which was typical in the late AD 1100s. This type of home was common throughout the entire region at the time. Only about half of it is visible today. The final stop at the Farview community is the Farview Tower. This was the heart of the farming community. Do you know which 3 crops are most common with most Native American communities? If you guess corn, beans, and squash, you're right. But plants native to the area were also cultivated. Because many of the trees in this area were likely harvested for burning, building, and making tools, the 2-story tower probably gave quite a view of the surrounding area. At least 60 similar towers have been discovered in Mesa Verde. Around AD 1200, Ancestral Puebloans began moving their homes into cliffs. Let's go take a look. One thing we didn't know before visiting the cliff dwellings was how many different homes were constructed here. We thought we were going to see one cliff dwelling. Boy, were we wrong. There are nearly 600 different cliff dwellings in Mesa Verde alone. Some are big and some are small, but all are very impressive to see. The most widely recognized cliff dwelling at Mesa Verde is the Cliff Palace. This astounding structure was discovered in 1888 by two cowboys on a snowy day in December. Can you imagine happening upon such a structure? It is made primarily of sandstone, mortar, and wooden beams. To create the mortar between the sandstone blocks, the Ancestral Pueblo people mixed soil, water, and ash. Man, they were so smart. To that, they added tiny pieces of stone called chinking for added stability. They gathered harder river rocks to shape each sandstone block. Cliff Palace is the largest known cliff dwelling in North America. It is believed that about 100 to maybe 120 people lived in this massive structure, which contained 150 rooms and 23 kivas. Researchers think this dwelling was the social, administrative, and primary ceremonial site of the community. You can tour this dwelling and others on ranger-guided excursions, but unfortunately, when we visited, the tours were not running due to COVID-19. We have more information about the tours on our blog, though, if you are interested. The second largest cliff dwelling in Mesa Verde is Longhouse. Although it is slightly smaller than Cliff Palace, it may have housed more people due to the way it is laid out. It contains about 150 rooms, 21 kivas, and a row of upper storage rooms. It's believed that 150 to 175 people may have lived in it. Unfortunately, the road to it was closed when we visited. Falling next behind Longhouse in size is the Spruce Tree House. It has about 130 rooms and 8 kivas, and it is believed that about 60 to 80 people lived here. This dwelling is one of the most preserved in the area because of the protection it receives from the natural alcove. Other dwellings such as the Fire Temple and New Firehouse, Square Tower House, and Balcony House were prominent parts of the community. Even homes like the House of Many Windows can be seen if you look hard across the canyon.
I see it! I see it!
Isn't that cool? So that's a home inside there. As you look across the Cliff and Fuchs canyons, you see a quiet, beautiful side of nature. But 800 years ago, you would have seen smoke rising from various cook fires at cliff homes, people bustling from dwelling to dwelling, and children playing or working alongside their parents. What looks like a desolate canyon was a thriving community. However, by the mid to late 1200s, climate change made living in this area difficult for the Ancestral Pueblo people. They began to migrate south, taking only what they could carry and leaving tools, pottery, and personal items behind. By the year 1300, pretty much everyone was gone from this area they had called home for over 700 years. Thank you so much for watching this video. We truly hope you liked it and learned a thing or two. We would be honored if you would like it and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to grow our subscriber base so we can monetize enough to continue our journeys. So every new view, like, and subscriber truly means the world to us. We hope you will continue to join us on our journeys. If you want to follow along in other ways, you can check out our blog at www.brokenwingadventures.com, where we give more information that goes along with our videos. You can also catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Broken Wing Adventures. Thank you for being a part of our journey, and we hope to see you out there.